Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Time has been a window. Guys, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Now, recently there's been a lot of speculation about an upcoming operation. This would be the 10th operation for CSGO, the last one all the way back in 2017. But that doesn't mean that Valve has completely abandoned Counter-Strike. As we know, in the last year since the release of Valorant, they have had some pretty big updates to the UI. Even going so far as to add Uber Shader. Though sadly, one thing they haven't added support for is Nvidia's Reflex ultra-low latency mode, which in my opinion really should have been a priority, as it really makes aiming feel so much more responsive. But this video isn't about that. No, it's about this most recent unnoticed patch update. Now, data miners found that in this patch update, there was a lot of information about an upcoming operation. And it seems like it's going to be a pretty massive one. And most surprising of all, it seems like its release is imminent. We're talking about possibly coming out by Thursday here. Or at least that's what Tyler McVickerson says from Valve News Network. And he's all about that data mining. Myself, on the other hand, I've just been wondering what Valve has been planning ever since Valorant has gone live. As you guys know, ever since the release of Valorant, it has been taking a large chunk of the player base of CSGO. This is because it has similar mechanics to older versions of Counter-Strike, but still manages to distance itself with its variety of powers. Now, while those powers are hit or miss for some people, I gotta admit, it is refreshing to play something a little bit different. After all, CSGO has been dominating the landscape of competitive tactical shooters since August of 2012, so I'm sure you can understand why so many people are looking for a change of pace. Now, I know I'm in the minority, but personally, I was looking forward to hopefully seeing Valve respond with a new version of Counter-Strike. With all the remasters happening, maybe something that harkens back to the older days of Counter-Strike. Though given the skin market, I can understand why there would be some complications with that. Which brings us to the next best way to rejuvenize CSGO, a brand spanking new operation. But what do we know about this operation? Well, quite a bit actually, and it's going to be coming out this week if reports are accurate. Now, two of the most important additions here is that they're going to be updating Demirage and CS Office. And you guys know these are two of the most popular maps in CSGO, especially Mirage. Office at this point is just kind of a cheater's haven. There was also a file called XL Dust that was changed to XL Dust Dark, but that's more about Sirocco. Now, while that is definitely one way for them to bring life back to these two maps, what really excites me personally is this next section about a dungeon co-op mode. This seems to be some kind of dungeon crawler added to CSGO, which includes 16 different levels and has 3 difficulty settings. Now, this does sound a lot like the original Diablo game, so I looked into it a little bit farther. But don't get your hopes up, they didn't add some kind of random stats to weapons. No, it seems to work just like the previous missions they added to CSGO, or for those that don't really play CSGO but are just now getting into it, kind of like Left 4 Dead, where you start off with lower tier weapons and you move up towards higher tier weapons as the mission progresses. And being in a dungeon sounds like it's going to have a creepier type of atmosphere, and it's kind of sad that this wasn't able to be released before Halloween. Another thing being released with the new operation is this new loading screen. Okay, not this exact loading screen, this was taken from Dota 2, but they will be implementing something very similar to Counter-Strike when you join a competitive game. So instead of just seeing the map overview, you'll see the defending team and the attacking team. Again, this is something that seems to be in response to Valorant doing something very similar. Now, while those are the most major parts of this update, that's not all. We will be getting another music kit. This one is named Halo, and it might have to do with Halo, the actual game. A new trap will be coming to Danger Zone. From the way it sounds like a tripwire that activates a Molotov. And adding a Danger Zone exclusive taunt. Speaking of Danger Zone, there'll be a new map coming called Frostbite. This is a community-created map, and it also goes with the theme of the operation, which is winter. Alright, maybe not exactly the big new game I was looking forward to, but definitely something that can rejuvenize CSGO. And the best part of all is we don't have to wait too long to get this. Like I said, it should be available to us by the end of the week. Now, another thing that's going to be happening with this update is that they're going to be updating a lot of the icons. As you can see, most of these changes are just visual to try to keep the game feeling fresh. Part of this is because of how Valorant does things with an every 2-month release schedule of something new. But it does call into question how much longer they can keep CSGO alive. After all, at this point, it's nearly 9 years old. And it's still on the original Source engine, which is 16 years old. It still uses a very primitive anti-cheat that catches hardly any cheaters, as well as a very slow-working Overwatch system. And ever since the game went free to play, there is very little incentive for someone to not cheat in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. In fact, if you play any of the competitive modes in CSGO, you are most likely to get a cheater playing either on your team or against you. Should that even be acceptable in the year 2020? Oh, that reminds me, I almost forgot. It has been said that they're going to be adding a new 1v1 competitive mode, just like the warm-up mode for Wingman. Tell me cheaters are not going to dominate the leaderboards there. But I'll stop being so negative. It is nice to see that Valve is pushing out a major update like this. It has been so long since the last one, I really started to believe that we wouldn't see another operation. And while that did make me hopeful for a possible new Counter-Strike coming out in the future, or a big port to Source 2, this will probably rejuvenate my interest in the game, as well as a few others, at least for some time. Now, speaking of Source 2, will there eventually be a Source 2 port of CSGO? Well, this is a bit of a complicated subject. Originally, they were going to port everything over, then they decided to just backport everything, then they decided to port everything over again, then they decided to make a new game, and now it seems like they're going to be porting Source 2 back to CSGO again. Because strings are still coming out for CSGO in Dota 2. So as of right now, it really doesn't seem to be imminent, and even though we don't hear much from Valve, I expect that we will hear something from them in the next year. After all, at this point, they have one of two options. They can either fight Valorant by releasing a brand new version of Counter-Strike, or revitalize this one by constantly refreshing it. And let's be honest, nothing's going to revitalize this game more than updating it to Source 2. But eventually, there will be a Counter-Strike game on the Source 2 engine. Just don't expect it to come out with this operation. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. To recap, there's going to be a new version of Mirage, a new version of Office, a new game mode called Dungeon, another new competitive 1 vs 1 game mode, new UI such as loading screens, a new music kit, a new tripwire, that is Danger Zone exclusive, and a whole bunch of new icons, as well as a completely new snowy Danger Zone map. The theme of the operation is winter, and honestly, it should be a lot of fun. I gotta admit though, what I'm really looking forward to most is that new dungeon mode. I'm hoping I can get Fawn to play it with me even though he's retired from Counter-Strike. So I guess that's a good way to find out if that whole revitalization thing is actually gonna be working for CSGO. And while Counter-Strike's numbers are definitely in the decline ever since the launch of Valorant, it's still not dead yet. I'm excited for this operation to come out and hold me over until Cyberpunk 2077 is eventually released. I mean, that is unless they decide to delay it again. Alright, that's it for this video. Valve, if you're listening, please update CSGO to include Reflex ultra low latency mode. I hope everyone enjoyed this video and found it informative. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, have a great day.